The government's new decree was a surprise to everyone, and Alex was no exception. Every Earthling must host an alien maid for the duration of the mating season. The announcement had blared over every available communication device. Alex stared at the screen in disbelief. Mating season, he muttered, rubbing his temples. This is insane. It wasn't that Alex was averse to change. He just didn't like it when that change involved his personal space. Particularly when that space was about to be invaded by an alien. An alien who would be cleaning his apartment, no less. The decree, signed off by the government, claimed it was a necessary societal bonding measure, something about intergalactic diplomacy and fostering cross-species understanding. But Alex wasn't buying it. He'd seen the alien-made commercials. They always seemed too perfect, too smiley, and something about their efficiency was unnerving. At first, he thought the whole thing was a joke. Until, of course, his front doorbell rang. With a deep sigh, Alex shuffled to the door, his pajamas barely hanging on as he opened it. Standing there, staring at him with an expression that was both serene and slightly unsettling, was his new maid. She was taller than most humans, with pale green skin that shimmered under the artificial lights. Her eyes were larger than Alex's, her hair an unusual shade of silver that seemed to defy gravity. And then there was the subtle aura about her, a faint scent of lavender that somehow felt like it was inside his head. He could feel her pheromones before she even spoke. Alex didn't know much about alien biology, but he did know one thing: this wasn't going to be an ordinary cleaning session. "Hello, Earthling. I am Zinthra, your designated maid for the mating season," she said in a voice that was almost too smooth, too polished. Her words were oddly soothing, yet there was a sharpness in her tone that Alex couldn't quite place. It wasn't her alien accent, it was something else. Something that made him uneasy. Zinthra stepped inside, glancing around with an air of quiet disapproval as she surveyed his apartment. Alex, feeling a sudden surge of embarrassment, quickly moved to hide the pizza boxes and unwashed laundry strewn across the floor. You're my maid for the season?" Alex stammered, trying to make sense of what was happening. "What exactly does that mean? Are you just here to clean up or?" Zinthra turned to him, her large eyes blinking slowly as she tilted her head in a way that made Alex feel like he was the one being observed. "Yes, Earthling. My species believes that clean living spaces are essential for cross-species cooperation. We also find that humans tend to misunderstand the concept of cleanliness, so I'll be here to show you the proper techniques." Her tone was professional, but there was a subtle hint of something else in her voice, something that made Alex's stomach churn a little. Maybe it was just the pheromones, he told himself. "Well, okay then. I guess we can get started," Alex offered, his words more of a question than anything. Zinthra's expression remained unreadable as she pulled a small, sleek device from her belt and began scanning the room. "First, I will assess the level of your mess," she said, walking slowly through his cluttered living room. "I see there is quite a bit of dirt here." "I will teach you the correct ways to clean, Earthling. It's more than just surface-level tidying." She glanced at him over her shoulder, and Alex felt his face flush. He couldn't tell if she was being literal or if there was something more to it. Before he could form a response, Zinthra walked over to the couch and reached down to grab a dusting cloth. Her long fingers moved with surgical precision, wiping away the dust that had settled on the surface. But Alex noticed something odd. Her hand lingered for just a moment longer than necessary. Was she rubbing the couch, sensually? Are you sure this is, necessary?" Alex asked, trying to keep his voice steady, though his mind was racing. Was this just some alien cultural thing? Was this what they did? He had so many questions, none of which he was brave enough to voice. Zinthra turned toward him, offering a smile that seemed a little too wide, a little too knowing. "Of course it is. Cleanliness is important for my species, especially during mating season," she said, her voice dropping into a tone that Alex couldn't quite place. It was simultaneously professional and inviting. No, he was imagining things. "Mating season," he repeated, his voice cracking slightly. Wait, is this about mating? What does that have to do with cleaning? Zinthra paused for a moment, then replied casually, you humans think of mating as a physical process, but for my species, it is a combination of both emotional and environmental bonding. Clean spaces promote optimal bonding. I'll be showing you the best methods to prepare for such bonding. She turned her attention back to the couch as if she hadn't just casually dropped that bombshell on him. Alex stood there, rooted to the spot. His mind was a swirl of confusion, embarrassment, and something else he couldn't quite identify. Okay, but he was interrupted by Zinthra's sudden movement. She had already begun reorganizing his coffee table, stacking the clutter into neat piles with frightening efficiency. First lesson, she began, her voice dripping with something that was almost too sweet. To truly clean, one must clear the mind as well as the space. Zinthra's gaze flicked toward him as she rearranged the books. You should also work on your stamina for cleaning tasks. It's all about endurance. You'll need it for later. Alex blinked. Stamina for cleaning? He laughed nervously, trying to make light of the situation. I think I'm doing just fine. I've been cleaning for years. I'm not good enough, Zinthra interjected smoothly. She paused for a moment, staring at him as if waiting for something. You'll need to develop better technique, Earthling. The correct posture, the proper movements, and the ability to maintain your energy levels over extended periods. Alex's brain was running in circles. Was this alien maid trying to get him in better shape? Or was there something more going on? Her comments were starting to sound less like domestic advice and more like an oddly suggestive fitness regimen. Zinthra's voice broke through his spiraling thoughts. Let's begin with a simple cleaning exercise. She stepped closer, her scent intensifying slightly. I'll demonstrate. You will copy my movements, and we'll see how well you do. I think you'll find it enlightening. Alex was unsure how to react. He didn't want to appear rude, but every fiber of his being was telling him to run in the opposite direction. Yet, as Zinthra stood there, with that serene expression and her entirely too calm demeanor, he couldn't bring himself to leave. Something about her, something about the situation, was so bizarre, yet strangely compelling. Well, Alex muttered, forcing a smile, I guess we better get started, huh? Zinthra's smile widened slightly as she turned to prepare her cleaning tools. Yes, Earthling. You will need to clean up your act. Both the apartment and yourself. Her words hung in the air, leaving Alex with an uneasy feeling that he couldn't quite shake. What was going on here? Zinthra wasted no time, her alien efficiency kicking into high gear as she began the cleaning exercises. Alex, standing awkwardly in the corner, felt a bizarre mix of confusion and dread creeping in. She gestured for him to join her, and though every instinct told him to back out, he reluctantly took a few hesitant steps forward. Now, Earthling, she began, her voice cool and professional, the first step in proper cleaning is physical conditioning. You cannot clean properly if you are not in optimal form. She glanced at him, the corner of her mouth twitching as if she found his discomfort amusing. That's why I'll guide you through some exercises. These will help you, how do you Earthlings say it, clean up your act? Alex blinked, trying to figure out how to respond. I don't need any cleaning tips. I'm fine. I can handle this. His voice was shaky, but he was desperate to keep his composure. He had never been the type to overexert himself, and the idea of starting a workout with an alien felt absurd. But Zinthra's gaze was unwavering, and her pheromones made it hard to focus. She made an exaggerated motion, bending her body in ways that seemed almost impossible, stretching her arms as if demonstrating some alien yoga routine. Proper posture is key. Let's begin with the alien reach, a simple stretch to open your back and shoulders. She did it slowly, her body curving in ways that made Alex feel oddly out of place, his own stiff movements betraying him. You'll need more stamina than that, Earthling, Zinthra continued, voice dripping with something that felt like playful criticism. You must learn to move with fluidity, to be efficient in every motion. The more stamina you have, the better your cleaning will be. Her words hung in the air like a challenge, and Alex could already tell that she wasn't just talking about cleaning. He gulped, trying to concentrate as he mirrored her movements. His attempt at the stretch was clumsy at best. "I don't need to do this," he muttered, his voice low. "I'm not exactly the workout type." Zinthra's lips curved into a smile, and she straightened, her hands on her hips. "Every human needs stamina, especially during mating season," she said, her voice slipping into something more suggestive. The words didn't hit Alex immediately. It wasn't until her eyes locked onto his that he realized the double meaning. "Mating season," he repeated, blinking a few times. "I thought you said you were here to clean." "And cleaning involves a great deal more than what you think," Zinthra replied smoothly. "It requires energy, concentration," and she paused, and Alex wasn't sure if she was toying with him or if it was simply her culture to speak this way. "Sometimes, a bit of collaboration." Alex's face flushed. "Look, I really think you're overthinking this. I just need someone to clean up. I don't need a whole fitness class or whatever this is." Zinthra tilted her head slightly, her large eyes never leaving his. "You misunderstand me, Earthling. Cleaning is not just about dirt and dust. It is about understanding one another, about sharing energy, learning to bond." "My people," she stopped, then gave a little shrug. "We require specific exercises to prepare for bonding during our mating cycle. I'm here to help you prepare, too." Alex's brain short-circuited. This was all happening way too fast. He was just trying to make it through the day without any more awkward moments, and now, it seemed like his alien maid was not only expecting him to clean better but to somehow become part of her cultural ritual. Bonding? Mating season? Was she seriously trying to get him involved in her mating practices? This wasn't what he signed up for. "So," he said, trying to regain some control over the situation, "you want me to do some workout, cleaning exercises? And then we bond?" The words felt strange coming out of his mouth, but he had to keep going with this farce. Zinthra's gaze softened, but there was a glint of mischief in her eyes. "Exactly. The more you understand our way of life, the easier it will be for you to contribute to the clean space, Earthling. And who knows? You may even find yourself enjoying the process." Alex froze. Enjoying the process? What the hell was she talking about? Was she referring to cleaning? Or was there something more to her meaning? His brain started to overheat again, trying to sift through the layers of innuendo and double entendre. He had never been good at reading between the lines, and Zinthra was making it so much more complicated. She took a few steps toward him and reached for the cleaning supplies. "You see, Earthlings are very adept at physical labor," she said, her voice now oddly soothing, "but they lack the understanding of energy exchange. My people, we've evolved to combine effort and emotion in everything we do. Even cleaning." Alex nodded slowly, still unsure of how to respond. Yeah. That makes sense." "Good," she said, her tone almost encouraging. "Now, let's continue." And with that, Zinthra handed him a strange-looking tool that resembled an overgrown toothbrush. "This is for scrubbing surfaces," she said, her voice taking on an almost instructional tone. "Let's see how you handle it." Alex took the tool, glancing at it like it was a foreign object, because it was. He tried to use it the way he thought she meant, but it felt awkward. "I'm not exactly a professional cleaner, you know," he said, fumbling with the tool. Zinthra's response was quick, her eyes narrowing slightly. "I can tell." She stepped closer to him, adjusting his grip on the cleaning device. Her fingers brushed against his hand, sending an unexpected jolt of electricity through him. Her touch was soft but firm, and as she helped him, it felt intimate. More intimate than he'd expected. The second her hand touched his, Alex felt an involuntary rush of heat flood his cheeks. Thanks," he muttered, not meeting her gaze. He had no idea how to act in this situation. "You're welcome," Zinthra replied, her voice now low and almost purring. Sometimes, it takes a little hands-on help to truly understand how to clean. Especially when you don't know the proper techniques. Alex was sure his heart was about to explode in his chest. Yeah, this is a lot more than I bargained for. Zinthra gave him a knowing smile. Humans are so easily flustered, she said with amusement, taking a step back to observe his efforts. But that's part of the process. You will adjust. You just need to trust me, Earthling. I'm really trying to, Alex said, almost laughing nervously. But I think I need a little more time to adjust to all of this. Zinthra's smile grew wider, as if she knew something he didn't. Time will be your best teacher, Earthling. And perhaps, a little stamina. She reached out to straighten his posture, her fingers lingering for a second longer than necessary, and Alex couldn't stop the sudden jolt of warmth that spread across his chest. Right, he said, trying to pull himself together. Stamina. Got it. You'll see, she said, her voice soft and teasing. Soon, you won't need my help at all. And perhaps you'll even be ready to take on the next step of the process. Her eyes locked onto his, and for a moment, Alex wondered if he had made a huge mistake by agreeing to this government decree. Alex's mind was racing, his thoughts jumbled and confused as he tried to process the events of the last few hours. Zinthra, the alien maid, was more than just an unusual cleaning expert, she was pushing him into an uncomfortable corner, combining his need for cleanliness with something far more personal. The deeper he got into this, the more he realized how much he didn't understand. Zinthra stood across the room, her eyes tracing his every move with an air of quiet satisfaction. You're doing well, Earthling, she said, her voice soft but carrying a layer of something more serious beneath the surface. You're starting to understand the importance of focus. Alex wiped his forehead, his nerves a wreck. Yeah, but I'm not sure this is the kind of focus I need, he said, the words spilling out before he could stop them. I thought you were here to clean. Now, it's like you're trying to get me involved in your mating season. He felt his face turn hot at the mention of it. I don't know what you mean by all this bonding stuff. Zinthra tilted her head, regarding him with a soft smile that seemed too serene for the tension in the air. Bonding is not just physical, Earthling. It is about understanding one another, learning from each other's ways. That's how my species connects. We teach one another, help each other grow. Alex shifted uncomfortably, still trying to wrap his head around what she was saying. But I'm not. I mean, I didn't sign up for any of this. I just thought I'd have someone clean my apartment, you know? Zinthra stepped closer, the faint scent of lavender growing stronger. I am cleaning, Earthling. But cleaning is more than just scrubbing surfaces. It's about cleaning your soul, your mind, and yes, your body. It's about shedding the things that weigh you down and learning to open yourself to new experiences. Her words were starting to feel like an overwhelming wave, and Alex couldn't shake the feeling that she was talking about something much deeper than housework. He felt a knot tighten in his stomach. I don't know if I'm ready for this, he stammered. I don't even know what this is. Zinthra smiled knowingly, like she was amused by his confusion. You will learn in time, Earthling. My species has a unique approach to growth. It's both physical and emotional. The longer we work together, the more you'll understand. She paused, her eyes scanning his face as if searching for something. You're afraid of letting go. Alex felt a jolt at the unexpected accuracy of her words. What? No, I'm not afraid. I'm just confused. He rubbed his temples, trying to make sense of the situation. I'm just trying to figure out why you keep saying all these things. Are we cleaning, or are we doing something else here? Zinthra's smile widened slightly, but there was no hint of mockery in it, only understanding. We are doing both, Earthling. You're cleaning, and you're learning. There's no need to be afraid of learning something new. Alex was still struggling to digest her words. He hadn't expected to be caught up in a cross-species cleaning program, let alone a cultural exchange that seemed to involve his emotions as much as his vacuuming. I'm just a regular guy, he muttered, feeling ridiculous. Why do I need to go through all this just to clean my apartment? You don't, Zinthra replied softly, her voice low and steady. But you need to clean more than just your apartment. You need to clean your mind. Your thoughts, your fears. My people understand that if you cannot clean the mind, the body cannot function at its full potential. Alex stared at her, his head spinning. Clean my mind? I'm not a philosopher. I'm just trying to figure out why I'm standing here in front of an alien who's telling me I need to, what? Open up? Is that really what this is about? Zinthra's eyes glimmered with something Alex couldn't name. You're afraid of opening up because you're afraid of what might come out. You hide things, Earthling. You hide your doubts, your fears, your desires. She stepped closer again, the faint scent of lavender surrounding him, her eyes piercing him in a way that felt almost too intimate. But in order to truly understand yourself, you must first let go of your walls. And to do that, you need to clean, truly clean. Alex felt his chest tighten, but he couldn't look away from her gaze. Her words dug deep into something inside him, something he didn't want to confront. I don't think I'm ready for that, he whispered, almost to himself. You don't have to be ready, Earthling, Zinthra said gently. Growth doesn't wait for readiness. It pushes forward, whether you are prepared or not. Alex's mind was a swirl of questions, emotions, and confusion. Was she talking about cleaning? Or was she talking about something much more personal? Could it be that her alien methods of cleaning were also a way to make him confront things he had long avoided? The more he thought about it, the more unsettling it felt. I don't know how to do this, Alex admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. I've never been good at opening up. I'm just trying to figure out why this is all happening. He gestured vaguely around the room, the clutter still scattered, though Zinthra had made significant progress in tidying it up. Zinthra studied him quietly, her gaze soft but intense. You don't need to have all the answers now, Earthling. In time, the answers will come. But for now, you must trust in the process. Trust in the act of cleaning, both physical and emotional. She walked over to a nearby table, pulling out a strange-looking contraption, and began to clean a spot on the surface, her movements smooth and deliberate. Cleaning is a ritual, a practice of renewal. Every motion brings you closer to clarity. Alex stood there, unsure of what to do next. Her words were starting to make some sense, but it wasn't the kind of clarity he was used to. This was something more, something foreign and uncomfortable. So, you're saying I'm supposed to clean myself, too? He asked, the words feeling clumsy on his tongue. Zinthra's smile softened. Yes. You clean your body, your mind, and your soul. That is the true meaning of cleanliness. And that is how you prepare for growth. Alex took a deep breath, still not fully understanding, but somehow, he knew she was right. There was something he hadn't confronted in himself, something buried deep. Maybe it wasn't about cleaning at all, it was about something far more personal. The idea of facing his own limitations, his own fears. It made him uncomfortable, but part of him knew that Zinthra was trying to help him. I don't know if I'm ready for this, Alex said, his voice trembling slightly. You don't have to be ready, Earthling, Zinthra replied, her tone reassuring. You simply have to start. And from there, everything will begin to fall into place. With those words, Alex realized that the real challenge wasn't the cleaning, it was what he had to clean within himself. And whether he was ready for it or not, the process had already begun. Alex was starting to feel the weight of it all, the weird exercises, the confusing mix of cleaning and bonding, and Zinthra's constant reminders about stamina and growth. Each word she spoke seemed to carry an underlying message that left him questioning what exactly was going on. He had signed up for a simple cleaning service, but somehow, it had turned into something far more complicated. Zinthra was still calmly working around the apartment, efficiently organizing the space with an ease that felt both comforting and intimidating. Alex was doing his best to keep up, though every time he tried to focus on something mundane like the dishes or the laundry, his mind would drift back to her. Her calm demeanor, the way she moved with such purpose, the way she spoke, everything about her felt like it had layers beneath the surface. Earthling, Zinthra's voice cut through his thoughts. You are hesitating again. He turned, trying to mask his frustration. I'm just I'm not sure what's happening. One moment, we're cleaning, the next, you're talking about bonding and emotional growth. I didn't sign up for any of this. Zinthra smiled softly, but there was no judgment in her expression, only understanding. You are afraid of the unknown, she said simply. But that is part of the process. You cannot grow unless you step into the unfamiliar. Alex opened his mouth to respond but found no words. It was true. He had spent most of his life avoiding discomfort, keeping to what he knew, refusing to face the parts of himself he didn't like. And now, here he was, forced into a situation that left him exposed and unsure. His eyes fell to the floor, watching as Zinthra gracefully moved through the room, her every action seeming to have a purpose. I didn't ask for any of this, he muttered, more to himself than to her. I know, Zinthra replied, her tone almost gentle. But sometimes, the universe does not give you a choice. You must simply respond. Her words hit him like a ton of bricks. He had never been one for deep introspection, but here she was, pushing him into it whether he liked it or not. There was no denying that something inside him was being stirred, something that wanted to resist but also wanted to understand. But how could he? How could he possibly allow himself to be vulnerable like this? With an alien? As if reading his thoughts, Zinthra stopped what she was doing and looked at him directly. You fear vulnerability, Earthling, she said. You fear losing control. Alex felt a flush creep up his neck. I don't fear it, he said quickly, but there was a hint of uncertainty in his voice. Zinthra gave him a knowing look. You do not have to be afraid. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is strength. It allows you to connect with others, to let go of what holds you back. The intensity in her gaze was overwhelming. He could feel the sincerity in her words, and it made him uncomfortable in a way he couldn't explain. But what does this have to do with cleaning? Why do I need to be vulnerable in order to clean? Zinthra walked over to the couch, sitting down with an air of calm authority. Cleaning is not just about scrubbing surfaces or removing dirt. It is about removing the things that cloud your mind. The fears, the doubts, the things that make you feel unworthy. She paused, letting her words sink in. True cleanliness comes from within. And to clean yourself, you must first confront the things you hide from. Alex's throat went dry. Her words felt like a direct hit, like a mirror held up to the parts of himself he had tried to avoid for so long. He was starting to realize that this wasn't just about physical cleanliness. It was about confronting his emotional mess, the insecurities he buried deep inside. He had always kept up walls, emotional barriers that he thought kept him safe, but now they felt like a prison. I didn't sign up for therapy, Alex muttered, feeling the weight of the situation pushing him to the edge. Zinthra's eyes softened, and she leaned forward slightly. No, Earthling, you did not sign up for therapy. But therapy is sometimes the only way to clean up what has been ignored for too long. You need to confront what you have hidden away. And you need to do it now, before it builds up and overwhelms you. The room suddenly felt smaller, the walls closing in as Zinthra's words continued to echo in his mind. How did she know so much about him? He hadn't said anything about his past, about the emotional baggage he carried around. But somehow, she knew. Maybe it was her alien nature, her advanced way of thinking. Or maybe it was just her ability to see through him. He stood up quickly, unable to sit with his discomfort any longer. I don't want to talk about this. I just want to get through the next few hours without feeling like I'm being interrogated. Zinthra remained seated, calm as ever. You do not need to speak if you do not want to, Earthling. But silence will not help you clean. You must face the dirt within, whether you like it or not. Alex felt a surge of frustration. Why does everything with you come back to this cleaning thing? What if I don't want to clean? What if I don't want to change? Zinthra's expression didn't waver. Then you will remain dirty. Your mind will remain cluttered with fear and doubt, and your body will be a reflection of that. But if you want to grow, if you want to move beyond the mess you've made of yourself, then you must let go. Her words were like an ultimatum, but they carried a strange kind of wisdom that Alex couldn't ignore. She was asking him to confront his fears, to face the emotional clutter he had spent years avoiding. He had always been the kind of person to push his feelings aside, to bottle them up and pretend they didn't exist. But now, in this moment, he was being forced to face them. "I don't know if I can do this," Alex admitted quietly. "I don't know if I can open up like that." Zinthra regarded him with quiet understanding. "You can. You just have to trust that you are stronger than you believe." The silence between them hung heavy. Alex looked around the room, his eyes landing on the spot where he had started the cleaning exercises. He had been avoiding the real work all along, trying to keep the surface-level stuff in order while ignoring the emotional clutter he had hidden away. He had always thought he was in control, that he had it all figured out. But now, with Zinthra's guidance, he was starting to see that control was nothing more than an illusion. Zinthra stood up slowly, her movements fluid and graceful. "The first step, Earthling, is acceptance. You must accept that you cannot do it alone. You cannot clean yourself up without help. And sometimes, that help comes from places you least expect." Alex swallowed hard, the weight of her words pressing down on him. He had always thought he could handle everything on his own, but now, in the face of Zinthra's unwavering calm, he realized how much he had been hiding from. He didn't have all the answers, and he wasn't sure if he was ready to confront everything that had been buried inside. But for the first time in a long time, he felt like maybe, just maybe, it was time to start cleaning, not just the apartment, but himself. Zinthra's eyes softened as she reached out, her hand lingering near his. "You are not alone, Earthling. We can clean together."